So this is where I left off in the last camper video, but I was able to receive a 24-inch by 72-inch foam pad. I got two of those to use as the bottom layer of my mattress for the bed. And I also have a twin memory foam topper that I got from my daughter, and I will be using that for the top layer. My bed area is only 68 inches long, so I had to cut 4 inches off the length of each of the two pads. And I also had to cut 8 inches off the width of the second pad because my bed area is only 40 inches wide. Here I've got the foam memory topper cut off sitting on top of the other foam pads, and you can see that I've got about 6 inches of thickness, and so these two layers together I'm going to use for my mattress. Not these are just cut-offs, but the other sections. So I ended up wrapping the two foam layers in a twin mattress cover. It's actually meant for a thicker mattress, so it's a little bit loose, but eventually I'd like to either modify this or get one that's custom made. So here you can see that the mattress just hangs over the edge of the benches. So you can see here that it interferes slightly with opening the bench to get to the storage area, and it's not really that big of a deal. All I need to do is just trim some more off of the topper and one of the foam pads, and then I should be able to slide it over just enough so that there's no more interference. The length of the bed is only 5 feet 8 inches, so you should be able to sleep there comfortably if you're shorter than that. If you're taller than that, you should be able to sleep diagonally without any issues up to, I would say, 6 feet 3 inches. And if you're taller than that, I suppose if the side benches had thick cushions, somebody up to 6 feet 7 inches tall could sleep there without any problem. So I'm going to work on adjusting the width of the mattress later. Right now I'm going to move over to the kitchenette area. Okay, right now the bottom shelf is just resting on top of the support braces. I haven't attached it yet because I knew I would be cutting it into 3 sections to gain access to the storage area below. I had to remove the wall panels in order to get to the cross braces a lot easier, and I also removed the 2 1/4 inch panel along the top because I'm going to replace it with a weathered accent board. I cut and installed the new bracing for this location, and what this will do is it will both provide support for that bottom shelf while providing access to the storage below. I also added another nailing surface just below each of the cross braces because down the road I'm going to wall each of those areas off, creating separate storage compartments. Okay, so with the new bracing installed, I was able to install the weathered accent board along the top. Next, I used the top panel, the 2 1/4 inch panel that I removed from the front, and I was able to place it along the back wall to cover up that gap. And I really looked out there because I I didn't have to make any modifications or trim it at all. It was a perfect fit. Okay, with all that taken care of, I was able to cut the shelf into 3 sections, and you can see these 2 sections here, and those will be my 2 access doors to the storage area. Okay, so I lifted up that right panel. I just wanted to make sure that there wouldn't be any issues rubbing against the exterior wall, and also give you a little look inside of the storage area. Okay, the pantry wall is installed, and I've got all 3 of my shelf panels in, and you might notice that the pantry floor panel is cut flush with the studs, and I did that to accommodate for the wall panels, which I'll be installing shortly. And here's just another angle that better shows the slight setback of the pantry area. Before I install the wall panels, I wanted to get this shelf installed, and you'll notice that I cut the braces 3/4 of an inch short because I wanted to make room for the shelf trim that I'll be installing. Okay, I got the shelf notched out and set in place, and just like the floor panel, the shelf is flush with the studs, and I did this to eliminate any gaps up against the wall panels. I installed the shelf trim and the 3 wall panels, and I wanted to wait until the wall panels were up so I could determine the size of the weathered accent board that's going to go along the top. I cleaned up the edges of the wall panels and installed the trim accent board along the top, and the corners of the pantry will look a lot better once I get the corner trim installed. So here I lifted up the access panel next to the pantry because I wanted to make sure that I could open it without it rubbing against the pantry wall, and I didn't have any issues there. But right now, both of these access panels are just sitting on the cross braces. Okay, this should give you an idea of how much room is available in the bathroom area next to the pantry. And I think that there's going to be plenty of room there. I have a used plastic sink that came out of an old RV, but I wanted to use this stainless steel sink if possible, but I'm not sure that it's going to fit in the area because of that slanted wall. There's plenty of room along the bottom shelf for the stainless sink to fit, but the top shelf, because of that slanted wall, I think I'm going to run into some problems. I had to remove the front accent trim as well as some of the wall panels along the back in order to move the support braces around, and what I'm going to be going down from 5 to 4, and this will accommodate both the sink and the 2 burners that I'm going to install. I moved the 2 support braces around and put them in place similar to how I did the bottom storage area, and the weathered accent board is back in place, so I should be able to check out and see if the sink's going to fit. Just as I thought, turns out there wasn't enough room to install the stainless sink, so I ended up using the used plastic sink instead. But I think it's going to work out just fine. Just like the bottom shelf, I cut the top countertop shelf into 3 sections because I want to be able to lift each section for easy access to remove the gray water tank under the sink. And I also want to allow easy access for replacing the 1-pound propane tanks under each of the burners. And finally, I wanted to also provide easy access to the top shelf of the pantry from above. And here's a view of the entire area. You can see the pantry area and then the stove and the sink. It looks like there's going to be plenty of room to use this Dutch oven, which is probably larger than anything that I'm actually going to use in here. But looks like everything's going to work out fine. Okay, I wanted to add some weathered accent trim here as well, but I was afraid that it might be too thick for the area. But after trimming down the weathered piece that I used above, I ended up with a small, thin veneer layer that will work out perfect here. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to just glue it to this stud rather than nailing it because it's so thin. Here I've got the veneer glued and clamped in place, and I'm not sure if this is going to be a good long-term solution or not, but it looks good for now, and I figured it was worth a try. The front end of the camper has been really dark since I installed that bathroom wall. So I purchased a couple of LED 12-volt lights to brighten this area up, and I've got the first one installed here, and I'm just going to tap into the 12-volt USB bank for power. The light has an on-off switch built into the housing on the right side, and it's hard to tell in this photo, but this light really brightens up this space quite a bit. I installed the second light under the overhang for a couple of reasons. One, I didn't want the light shining directly into my eyes if I'm in the kitchenette area, and I wanted it to light up the surface area better. And again, it's kind of tough to tell, but this light really brightens the area up nicely. And here you can see just how bright the bathroom area is now with the new light installed. I cut down a 48-inch piano hinge into two 21-inch hinges and installed them on the bottom storage access doors. I don't want to add the top hinges yet, at least not until I install a metal flame guard behind the burners. So I'm going to call this one for this video, and just leave you here with this shot of the entire kitchenette area with both lights on. Talk to you guys later.